Hey, what is up, everybody? Mark here. Today, I'm going to answer one of the most common questions I ever get. Almost every day, I get people asking me, hey, Mark, how do I adjust the slots in a design to match the material that I have? Or they say it a different way, I cut this and nothing fits right. Well, that tells me right away that you didn't do something that I'm going to teach you in this video today. You're going to learn how to adjust slots and how to do a test slot first so that you save both time and materials. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you right here how to get started, and then we're going to jump into Illustrator and I'll show you that side of things. Now, if you don't use Illustrator, that's okay, because this is a really simple thing that can be done in almost any vector program with no problem. So first of all, grab your calipers. I know you've got them. If you don't, stop this video, jump on Amazon and order some, because you need calipers, because you need to be able to measure things accurately and properly. So grab your calipers and then grab the material that you're going to use. Now, I've got a beautiful piece of cypress here that I'm going to use as an example. Again, it doesn't matter. Just grab the material you're going to use. The first thing we're going to do, of course, is turn the calipers on, because strangely enough, they work better when they're on. Take your calipers, measure the thickness of your material. So mine is 0.208. 0.208. And you're going to write that down, because if you're like me, you forget stuff easily. 0.208. Okay? Now you got that written down. And now what you're going to do in your vector program, whether it be Illustrator or whatever, is you're going to make a rectangle with another rectangle inside it. And I'm going to show you with my real high-tech pencil and a piece of paper what we're talking about. We're going to make a rectangle with another rectangle inside it. You guys are going to be blown away by my artistry. You ready? Just like this. You're going to make this in your vector program. And as you can probably imagine, this middle one is going to be the slot that we're going to use to test with. Now, it doesn't matter how big this is. I would make it pretty small. I'd make it maybe 1.5 inches long and maybe 1 inch tall. It's going to end up looking a lot like this. So what you're going to do is, it doesn't matter what the outside rectangle size is, but this inside one, the first thing you're going to do is make it the height that you wrote down earlier. For me, it'd be 0.208. The height is 0.208, and the length can be whatever, okay? Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and make two of these next to each other, because it'll save you a little bit of time, because I'm going to tell you the first one's probably not going to be the size you want. Because, remember my last video earlier this week on kerf? What's going to happen is your 0.208 is going to end up being fit something like 0.218. So because of the kerf of the laser. So I would probably make two of these. Make one that's 0.208 and one that's, you ready? There's a lot of numbers. 0.01 smaller. Okay? And then what you're going to do is, when you cut these out, you're going to take them and you're going to test it right here on the corner of your material, just like this, and see how tight it is. Now for me, that's pretty tight. I don't know if I'd go with that. I mean, it does work, but it's very, very tight. So within 1 or 2 tries, you should have a really nice fit. And once you have that, then you know what size the slots are going to be as you make your adjustments. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's jump into Illustrator and I'll show you on that side how this works. All right, so here we are in Illustrator, and I've got one of my dice towers open here. I thought this would be a good example to use because it has a number of slanted slots and some things that you'd have to change. So let me kind of go over what we talked about just a minute ago. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw out 2 rectangles to make a sample slot, but let me add something here that I did not mention earlier. Right here, these are the slots that we're going to need to replace, so it just makes sense to actually use these as the slot to start with, and I'll show you why. So in Illustrator, since this is already a compound path, I'm going to right click and release compound path so that now I can get to this slot right here. So I'm going to click on that, I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to copy it and then paste it so I can use it up here. Now, I bet that there are some experts out there like Genevieve and some other folks who know way more about Illustrator than I do. But what I need to do is I need to get this slot, I need to get it completely horizontal, like exactly. And I bet there's a keystroke to do that, but I do not know what it is. So I end up having to just do it this way. So I've got it nice and straight, but that's important to do. And then the last thing I'll do is right click and then make compound path so that I can edit the height. Okay. So now I've got an exact copy of this slot right there. So that's going to help me in just a minute. Then I'll go ahead and do what we talked about earlier. I'm going to draw a rectangle around it so we can cut this out. Doesn't really matter what size it is. And if you're like me and you have OCD, I'm going to select that and center it in the slot because that will help. Not at all, but it helps my brain. So now I've got a slot here. So what I do next is select that slot and go to transform. And then I'm going to change the height. I'm not going to mess with the length at all, but change the height to my 0.208. So now I know that I've got a slot here that will definitely fit, but it's probably going to be a little loose. So just to save time, I would usually select both of these, copy and paste, put it right next to it if you want, right here. And then I would go ahead and edit this one to be a little bit smaller. How about like maybe 198, okay? So just a tad bit smaller. I would go ahead and cut both of those and see which one fits better. And then if you need to, make one more edit, but you'll probably get there within 2 or 3 slots and you'll have it perfect. So let's say that this one right here is the correct one. I'm going to go ahead and delete this other one just so it doesn't get in my way and distract me. Now here's the cool part. I can copy that slot, and now I'm going to go and paste it here. I'm going to bring it right down next to this first one, and I'm going to angle this to be the same angle as the other. And it may take me just a moment, but I'll get it pretty quick. Make it just the same angle as the other. Now, by the way, as a side note, on this particular one, the exact angle doesn't matter, but we'll act like it does. Then I'm going to put it right over top of the other one, okay, right over top of it. And then I'm going to go over to the layer panel, and I'm going to lock it so it can't move. But now I can select the old one and delete it, and now I've got the new one exactly where I want it. Now this makes it easy too, because now I can unlock it in the layers panel and then copy it. And when I paste it down here for the next one, it's already at exactly the right angle. So I'm just going to lay it right on top again, lock it over here, select the other one, delete, and you see the pattern that I'm doing now. There'll be another one down here that I'll do, and then I'll turn the angle and do the right side of these and just replace all of these with the newly corrected slot width. But you're not done yet. After you do those, then we also have to deal with these slots and tabs here on the sides as well. And it's really quite easy. It's very similar. In this case, you can go ahead and you can either use this slot here. I'm going to copy and paste it, and you can just simply turn it vertically. And technically, now let me talk through this for a second. If you guys have already got it, you can of course turn the video off and move on, but let me just talk through this. This right here is the thickness of your material, correct? So what you're going to want to do is line it up right here with this line. Let me see if I can get it here like that. You're going to line it up with this line right here, and then you're going to bring this edge out to this corner out to meet this line. So let me show you what I would do. Now that I've got this lined up like this, there are 2 ways to do this that I've done. I would just stretch this guy all the way down here. You can actually use a guideline too as another way to do it. Either one would work just fine. But I'm going to stretch it all the way down here because I know I'm going to need to change a lot of these points. Let me just stretch it all the way up here. So now I've got this directly in line with this side of this slot right here, this side slot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now you don't have to do this part. I'm going to change the line color just so it's really easy for me to see which one's which. So now I see that's green. You don't have to do that. And then if you want to, you can lock that layer, but I don't know that that's going to be necessary. So here's what we're going to need to do now. This point right here and this point right here need to come in to where that line is. So I'm going to use my direct selection tool, and you can just shift click on those, and I can just move this in until it's directly on top of the green line. And you do the same thing down here. Yes, you can select them all at the same time. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to bring those in and get it right on the green line. And now I know that that particular tab and slot combination is going to be the right size. And then you just simply work around the shape and do the same thing. Now, I would probably already be done if I wasn't talking through this. It's really not that difficult, but make sure you do all these slots, these tabs on the side, and do not forget, if you're doing this particular one, you need to also adjust this guy and these guys right here. But once you work around it, it's really not that hard. That's how you adjust tabs and slots. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.